So today I'm just going to show you a quick little books that I have around my house. I can't really call it a bookshelf tour because they all don't fit in my bookshelves and they're kind of sporadically thrown around everywhere in my house. So I'll show you a tour of my books and let's begin. So over here is just kind of where I've been keeping my books right now. I have Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant, and my Divergent book is signed by Veronica Roth. Can't really see it, but there we go. Behind it you can see I have Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress, and these are awesome books. Then in the middle is where I keep The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey, The Diviners by Libba Bray, and then for Christmas I got this box set of The Hunger Games. I absolutely love these covers so much more than the original. So there's The Hunger Games, and then Catching Fire, and They're Falling, and then Mockingjay. I, again, love these covers. They're, I think, so much better and just so much like cleaner looking than the originals. And then over here I have Abandoned by Meg Cabot. I won this in a Goodreads giveaway and I am going to be reading it soon. And then another Christmas present was this wonderful box set of the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. So there's Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess, all hardbacks. Unfortunately, these books have the freaking stickers on them from the movie. But I read somewhere that if you buy Goo Gone, that it works with dust jackets like this, so I will be trying that in the future and letting you know how that goes. So just some other books that I have laying around my room. This is my bedside table. I have The Moon and More by Sarah Dessen. I have Nostradamus and His Prophecies. I love Nostradamus and I need to read this book. It's going to take me a while. And just a random book that I got for my birthday a couple years ago, A Daybook of Comfort and Joy. So like every day there's like a new like little section that's supposed to like be life affirming and all that jazz. And then right outside my door I have Twilight and New Moon and Eclipse and Breaking Dawn. And then I have a Bible followed by Tiger's Curse, Tiger's Quest, Tiger's Voyage, and Tiger Destiny. And then the complete works of William Shakespeare, complete with golden edges. In the study, I have all of these Nancy Drew books that are in yellow, and then I have Agatha Christie books. She's known as the Queen of Crime, and she deserves that because I think she's awesome. Sorry for my unsteady hand. This is really tall, a lot taller than me because I'm short. But up there, then I have this Seven Realms trilogy, The Demon King, The Exiled Queen, The Grey Wolf Throne, and The Crimson Crown. If you have not read that series, it's a really great fantasy series. And then we pass Gollum. Hi, Gollum. And then on this side, we have Graceling Fire and Bitter Blue by Kristen Cashore, followed by Torrent, Cascade, and Waterfall, which is a series about a female travels back in like the 1400s Italy, and it's really interesting. And then there is City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, and City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. And somewhere soon, I'll probably have to relocate those because City of Heavenly Fire is going to come out and I don't know where to put it right now. Next shelf up, we have The Coldest Girl in Coal Town by Holly Black, and then Ruby Red, Sapphire Blue, and Emerald Green by Kirsten Gear. And then behind those books are Junie B. Jones books. I used to read a crap load of them, and you can see the remnants of them over there. Then we have Anthem by Ayn Rand, and it's a really good book. I don't remember much of it other than I really liked it. And then a classic, The Jungle Book. And then The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is right next to that. You can't really. Here we go. Oh, I'm too short. Next shelf over, you just have a lot of books that I could probably donate and get rid of. They're just books that I read when I was like in middle school or younger. So then for this row, you have, or at least I have, It's called Me and Emma, and it is about a girl with child abuse, dealing with that, and I recommend it. I really enjoyed it. And then there's Blood and Chocolate. This was I think it was actually the first like werewolf book that I had really read. I guess Twilight doesn't really count, but I loaned this out to someone, and there's water damage and marks, and let's just say that I never have lent out a book since. And then the narrative of Frederick Douglass, and if you have not read this book, I had to read it for school, but I'm really glad that this is one of the books that I really read. And then there's Crank. I don't have the rest of the series just because it was interesting. Basically what it is, it's like Crank, so it's a drug. I think it's cocaine. Shows my lack of drug knowledge. But it's like poems. It's like a story through poem, and it's just like weird formats. It's not that it wasn't good, but I would just rather read other things. Oh my gosh, go back. And then there's Cut, another middle grade book. I think I was in like a book club in middle school. We read it about a girl cutting, and it was just awareness for teenage girls. In Cold Blood, that's not it. In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. Really good book. It is based on true events of a murder, and if you like murder or mystery type things, I highly recommend this book too. World's Best Loved Poetry, some of my favorite poetry is in here, if you probably couldn't tell from the title. The Scarlet Letter, typical book that high schoolers have to read. Again, The Crucible, another book that I had to read in school. I actually really liked The Crucible, not so much The Scarlet Letter, but I really did enjoy The Crucible. And then I have The Selected Poetry of Edna St. Vincent Millay, another poetry book that I really liked. I actually forgot I had this. I'll probably end up reading this sometime soon. And then The Grapes of Wrath. I guess this is my brother's book. I don't remember reading. No, I did have to read this. Oops. And The Great Gatsby, personally not one of my favorite books. And then my mom's old collection of all of the Judy Blume books. Like, I think this one is, no, here it is, this pink one, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, and all those fun girl coming of age books. And then 4 great American novels. These princess books. There's Anastasia that I have. I used to have Marie Antoinette. I don't know where that went. I think I actually loaned that to someone else too. Silly me. And then Jahanara. I don't remember what that's about either. And there's Bridge of Terabithia, Artemis Fowl. I think I started reading that and then I didn't. Shakespeare, Much Ado About Nothing, The Taming of the Shrew, Mark Twain, there's Huckleberry Finn. I don't really like Mark Twain except for Joan of Arc. I have 2 copies. I don't remember why, but this copy, I had to read it. I think I had to do a project on historical fiction or something in 9th grade. And I was like, oh, you'll love this. I was like, ew, it's Mark Twain. But I still have like all the notes that I took and all the highlights in this book, and yeah, it's one of my top influential books. And then I have Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I actually didn't really like this series, but I read it a while ago, so I might try to sometime over the summer read it again and see how I feel about it, because the first time I read it, I didn't like it. And then I have a book of poems by Sylvia Plath. If you have not read Sylvia Plath, I highly recommend her. She's a very interesting poet, and that's what I'm going to leave you with. And this shelf is where I have a lot of my Tamora Pierce Tortall books. First, I used to read these, Why Do Fish Drink Water, and why, like, blah, 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 What Makes Flamingos Pink. They're just, I used to have tons of questions. I'd be that person who would raise their hand in class and not have just one question, but 2 or more. So my parents thought that that would be a great book, so that way they didn't have to keep on answering my questions. And then I have this box set of The Song and the Lioness by Tamora Pierce, followed by Wild Magic. This was one of the first books that really got me into reading just because I love animals and this person can talk to animals, and how cool is that? So I have that copy, and then I also have this copy. My brother's girlfriend did a report on or something with Tamora Pierce, and she came to her presentation, and so I actually have a signed copy of Wild Magic as well. And it's Paige, Girls Rule, Tamora Pierce. So then I finish out the rest of the Wild Magic series with Wolf Speaker, and I love this cover. If I can find more of these covers, that would be awesome. Then there's Emperor Mage, and then the Realm of the Gods, and then I have the For Protector of the Small series, and then I think she has like another one about like the open circle or something like that, but I never got into it so much because I kept on picturing Tortall. And then How to Catch a Pirate. I remembered it, I think. It was good. And then over here I have the Harry Potter books that I have read. I read 1 and 2, and then I even tried getting it in like audio versions, and I don't hate me, but I just couldn't read Harry Potter. I just couldn't. However, on my brother's bookshelf, you can see that there are 7 hardcover copies twice for Harry Potter. That is because while my brother has read them down here, these, even the packaged ones, are for me because my parents have a master plan of getting me to read Harry Potter for when I have kids. They're just going to come over to my house one day and they're going to start reading Harry Potter as a bedtime story, and my kids will love it so much that I will have to keep on reading the series to them. Therefore, me reading the series, gosh, they're clever. Shiloh books, Where the Red Fern Grows. If you are an animal lover, don't read this book. And some just other kind of classics, Oscar Wilde books, The Indian in the Cupboard. And then this other book, I used to read Chicken Soup for the Soul a lot, and so this one was Chicken Soup for the Soul of America. That is Countries That Heal the Heart of Our Nation, and this was published after 9/11. And then Treasure Island, yay! And then on this shelf, I think is probably one of my favorite shelves because it has A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. Look at this cover, just look at it and just admire it for a few seconds. I really need to get this in hardcover because the rest of my series is, and this is, you know, has some wear and tear around the edges. And then the sequel, Rebel Angels. And then the last book, The Sweet Far Thing, which is such a great book, and feelings and tears, and I really want to read this series again. But yeah, I love this cover. This cover is awesome, and then it has deckled edges. Another Libba Bray book, Going Bovine, and it is about the adventures of a boy going and living through mad cow disease, and that's a really interesting premise. The one thing that I love about Libba Bray is that, like, The Great and Terrible Beauty and Rebel Angels and The Sweet Far Thing, they're very more fantasy based and great world building, and then she has books like Going Bovine and Beauty Queens that are just really funny, and she has a lot of wit, and her writing is just very sarcastic. So Beauty Queens is about a plane full of beauty queens, and they're going somewhere, and then they crash on an island, and it is about them trying to survive. So continuing with my Tamora Pierce books, then I have Trickster's Choice, and there's Trickster's Queen, Becca Cooper. She continued with this book for a while, Terrier, in this series, but I started getting a little too old. Not I don't want to say too old, but I grew up and I wanted to explore more YA books, so I did not continue with this series. And I also have Brightly Woven by, what do you know, Alexandra Bracken. I never knew until I was just looking at my bookshelves and seeing what I have, and I was like, wait a minute, I know that author. And then The False Princess by Alice O'Neill. This is another pretty good shelf. I had Dear John by Nicholas Sparks. If you've seen the movie and haven't read the book, I don't know what to tell you because you should have read the book before the movie, but I love the book so much more than the movie. And here's The Notebook, and I would like to read more Nicholas Sparks books, I just haven't gotten to it. My copy of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Somewhere in this house, I know I have The Giver and by Lois Lowry, and then this is the sequel, I guess, companion novel is probably a better word, of Gathering Blue. And then the other companion novel, The Messenger, and then I guess a year or two ago she came out with another one, Son, that I haven't read yet. And here's Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Funny story, I used to get so scared so easily that I didn't even get halfway through this book. If you read this book, I got to the part where they're sewing buttons for eyes or something like that, and I had nightmares, and I actually have not picked up this book since. Then there's Picture Perfect. I remember getting this at a book fair in elementary school, I think, 5th grade. And it is basically a mystery novel, and someone goes missing. That's all I remember from it. Then there's Thicker Than Water. I don't remember what this is about. It looks interesting. Then there's Goose Chase. I remember really liking this book. If I remember correctly, it's kind of like The Goose Girl, but it's different. It has its own little twist. Over in this section, of course, is the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Then in the Summer of the Sisterhood, and then Girls in Pants, and Forever in Blue. So most of these books are Sarah Dessen books, and then I have a series over here that I really like, and it is The Singer of All Songs is the first book, followed by The Waterless Sea and The 10th Power. And then I have Just Listen by Sarah Dessen. Has to be my top 2 favorite Sarah Dessen books. And then Lock and Key, The Truth About Forever. This is my all-time favorite Sarah Dessen book. I think it was actually in my top 10 influential book tags as well. Along for the Ride, What Happened to Goodbye, Someone Like You, That Summer, Keeping the Moon, This Lullaby, my 3rd favorite Sarah Dessen book. So then here's just a bunch of miscellaneous books. These are mostly books that are like storybooks from when we were kids, like bedtime stories, Andersen fairy tales. My favorite book out of this whole shelf has to be this book, and it's a classic fairy tale treasure. And what I love about it is, like, the cover is great. I love the gold pages. It has awesome illustrations, and it has my favorite story tale of all time, The Little Match Girl. So I really love this book, and I'll probably have it for forever. Here we have The Host by Stephanie Meyer. The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner. One of my favorite book series. We have Angel Fire by Courtney Allison Moulton. And the sequel, The Wings of the Wicked. What this book series is about, it is about angels and Nephilim and demons and badassery. So, yeah. Oh, do you know what these are? Just to point out the badassery, those are seraph blades, and they were actual weapons used once upon a time, I think in China, to where they have little hooks on the end, and you stab them, and through like the rib cage, and you can like yank out their hearts, and it's really cool. And then Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I thought I would like it a lot more than I did. Sabriel, Lyriel, and A Porson. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. See you tomorrow. Bye. There that I love that author. Call it The Cream of Called The Cream of Frederick Douglass, you're getting in the way.